Hello there, YouTube. Devin here again, and today we're going to be showing you how to disassemble a pattern 1914 rifle bolt, or M1917 bolt, or whatever you want to call it. It's got like 50 different names, but they're the same exact bolt for the most part. And we're going to show you how to take them apart. Now, a lot of people are kind of afraid or don't know how to take this bolt apart because it requires some special tools, which at the time that this came out was sort of common, sort of uncommon. A lot of the major militaries has gone to a bolt that took no tools to disassemble, whereas this one basically takes like a washer or a penny or something to take apart. And so what you're going to need for this is, well, first you're going to need a pattern 14 or M1917 rifle. It's kind of a requirement to be able to take one apart. And then you're going to need one of these, which is the bolt disassembly tool, which you can fabricate out of a washer. This one happens to be an original one. This is like a British kind of World War II era stainless steel one. It's an original, but you can make these out of a washer, or you are more than welcome to use a 1 cent piece. I refuse to call this a penny because it is not a penny. It is a 1 cent piece. And then aside from one of those two things, you need a hard yet yielding surface. And in this case, I like to use this kind of cork covered pine coaster, which I've had for years, and I use it to take apart a lot of bolts that require you to put pressure on the firing pin. So first things first, we're going to remove the bolt from the pattern 14 rifle I have here, and that works just like basically any other Mauser. But before we actually take it apart, we need to cock the bolt. So, and just to make sure you check that it's unloaded, in this case it is, you can see right into the chamber there. There's no brass, which means it is unloaded. And then we need to throw the safety on. So right now the safety is off. We need to throw the safety on and push the bolt forward, which will extend the cocking piece, overextend the cocking piece to where you have this gap. All right. And now this is where you'll take your spacer or your penny. The spacer like this makes it easier because it fits right over the flats in the firing pin and everything there. Now if you use a penny, you want to kind of be careful, because if you knock the penny out, the bolt, the cocking piece will drop in the bolts. So you don't want to do that, because then it's kind of a pain to re-put into position. So, and then we are now just going to lift the bolt, pull it all the way back rearward, and then just like most Mausers, there's going to be this lever you have to pull out, and the bolt will be removable. So I'll set the bolt there. We'll take the rest of the rifle and get it out of the way because we don't need that today. So here we have the bolt. All right, now as you can see, it's already pretty much taking itself apart. It's normally lined up right like this. There's a kind of shroud here, and then there's the back of the cocking shroud. Those two flats are lined up. As you can see, this one is pretty free to move. That's not uncommon. And all we're going to do is we're going to unthread this now. Just keep turning on it. And it's a contained system, so you're not fighting any spring pressure or anything here at all. So here's your locking lugs, your extractor, and bolt handle, bolt sleeve. That whole works. You don't really need this part anymore. This is pretty easy to do maintenance the way it is. You can disassemble this further. I don't know why you would. You could reach every part you need to from right here fairly easily. So we'll set that aside there now. And now what we have here is just the cocking piece, the firing pin spring, and the shroud, the gas shroud basically is what that is, or the rear half of the cocking piece. Anyways, so rear half of the bolt, sorry, but this is normally what I call the gas shroud. And now how we're going to further disassemble this is, in order to disassemble it further, I'm going to try to probably adjust the camera up here a little bit for you so you can see that. Come on, tripod, work with me. All right. And then what we're going to do is we got it on our hard yet yielding surface because we don't want to damage our firing pin. All right, and then you're going to push down, okay, and your little spacer will come out there. So just keep pushing down, and then this will turn 90 degrees, basically. Should, and then it should just slide right off. It's as you can see in the firing pin there. Well, I'll ease the spring pressure here. All right, so the gas shroud comes off, the spring comes off there. There you go. It's a pretty tough spring, so be careful there. And here's your firing pin. Now the firing pin, as you can see, has some flats in it there, and then it has this kind of interrupted thread pattern. And that interrupted thread pattern is what the cocking piece here, if I could kind of get the light to work, you can see there's teeth in that there that will thread onto these interrupted teeth to keep it from coming off, which is really easy to disassemble actually. As far as bolts go, this is all you really need to make sure to check if this thing works good or not. And this firing pin is obviously in pretty good condition still, despite probably being probably over a century old. And but because from everything I could tell, these are all matching parts still on all the major components of the rifle. So now reassembly is just in reverse. Here, put the spring over the firing pin. It is omnidirectional. You can put it any way you want over that, and then we will push down again. Take our cocking piece. Our gas shroud. Put that over there. You want to be holding it down. Remember, you're fighting spring pressure now, so make sure you keep a firm grip on that. Cocking piece goes on, and that will just rotate it around until it kind of slides. It'll go eventually here. Oh, unless I do something stupid like put it on backwards, and it will not. Alright. We are on. Back in position. You can let your gas shroud up there, as you see. But now in order to re-put it back into the gun, you need to force that shroud back down, put that little spacer back in, and there you go. Now you just have to put the firing pin and your whole now completed reassembled firing pin back into the bolt sleeve. Rotate it clockwise now. Make sure that that flat is lined up there. And then we can bring the rifle back into the frame here. Alright. And then put your bolt in, pull that lever out, drive it home. Okay. Remove your little spacer or penny now at this point. Okay. Open the bolt. Throw the safety back in the off position. Close the bolt, depress the trigger while closing to ease spring tension, and there you go. One fully disassembled and reassembled pattern 14 or M1917 firing pin. Make sure you do this to check for your rifle for safety. If you've just bought one of these, there's a lot of these around still here in the United States and in North America. Both pattern 14s and M1917s. They disassemble pretty much the same way because they're pretty much the same rifle. So hopefully you can use this to your advantage when you're buying a new one, so you can be able to check to make sure it's safe to fire, if any parts need to be replaced, to make sure all your springs have not lost any of their strength or anything over the years. It's just a good thing to check. Make sure it's well lubed or well oiled. Those parts in the bolt, including the firing pin, the spring, and the cocking piece, are all in the white, so they are prone to rust. So thank you so much for watching, you guys. Hopefully you learned something here. Hopefully you go through now and you feel safe disassembling your pattern 14 or M1917 bolt. And I have a video on disassembling the rifle in general earlier on the page, earlier on the channel, if you're looking to do that, because in the end, the purpose of these videos is to kind of help firearms enthusiasts or very new firearms enthusiasts, or people who may have been given one of these old surplus rifles or something as a gift or as a hand-me-down from a relative dying or something, or maybe they're just really into that and they go out and buy one. And to just make sure you're able to check that your weapon is functional and safe, and how to do basic preventive maintenance on it, because that's going to allow it to make sure you can continue to enjoy it for years to come. So thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.